Guess who broke their Switch OLED? I guess we're gonna have to fix it. So if you look in the bottom left there, you can see the massive scratch that we've got on the screen there. So that's what we're trying to fix today. I was going to fix the kickstand, but the part came broken, so we'll have to do that one another day. Okay guys, first things first, you're going to want to power off your Switch. Now, you got the power button right here. So what you want to do is you want to hold the power button down. Okay, and it will come up with this menu. Don't put it into sleep mode. Make sure you press power options and you power it off. Okay, so that will be powered off now. Now what you want to do is remove your Joy-Cons. So as you can see there, all you need to do is press the button and lift them off and we're good to go. All right, let's get cracking on this repair. All right, step 2 is to remove the 3 screws from the outer shell, 2 at the bottom and 1 at the top. So let's take out the bottom ones. It's 1 and 2. All right, now we've got this 1 screw at the top. So let's go ahead and remove this one too. There it is right there. It's hard to see, but there it is. Now we need to remove the side screws, right? So if you have a look, we need to remove the top one. So not the bottom here, right at the top there, and right at the top there. Before we do, make sure we remove our SD card. All right, now we have to remove the back plate screws. There's 1 there and 1 there. And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm missing 1 there. So I'll have to get that replaced. But let's take this one out. Now, I think you use the Y00 screw. So it's the Y-shaped head that you need to use for this one. So just be aware of that. And if you're enjoying any of the content on Computer Games Hardware, please chuck us a like, share, and subscribe because, you know, guys, making these videos is pretty tough. As an example, this scene that you're watching right now, I've meticulously recreated because I realized in the edit that I didn't have this shot. So there you go. All right, guys, now what you want to do is get your pry tool. I'm not sure what these things are called. If you know, let me know in the comments down below. Anyway, there are 2 tabs on either side. You can hear the click there. So run your pry tool through and open it up. Be sure to make sure you keep the membrane and the buttons in the back plate in a safe place. So make sure you've got those. And then we are in and we're good to go. So let's get on with it. Alright guys, next up what you want to do is gently remove this antenna tape that is firmly attached to the heat plate. It's pretty delicate, so you want to use it again, so just be careful, take your time while you're doing this and just peel it back like that. You can take them off and stick them somewhere safely. I like to just keep them where they are because I have a thing about putting things back where they're supposed to be, so I just leave them on there and sort of stick them back in place. Now what you want to do is grab your pry tool and you'll want to disconnect the antennas. You'll be able to hear the pop. There you go, nice and gentle. You can also get your fingernails underneath there, they just clip in. It's when you're putting them back, you got to be careful with them, so just be careful not to misalign them when you're pushing them back down when you're replacing them. Now we're going to remove the antennas. Let's start off with this little one. There's a screw right there, so remove that little screw. And then what you want to do is get your guitar pick pry tool, and we're going to use that to lift it up. Now you can actually remove the antenna here. I don't in this video because I thought you had to take the back plate off first, but you can actually remove it. So go ahead and do that now. Now for the next antenna, 2 screws there. Job done. Alright, and then we can remove that with the pry tool as well. Just pop it off, there you go, and we can just remove that. So, job done. Alright, let's remove the heat shield. There are 3 screws here, and then there are another 3 screws on the left there. So go ahead and remove those. You only need the standard Phillips head screwdriver for this one. So pretty straightforward, and just go ahead and lift this up when you've got all the screws out. Alright guys, now lift your heat shield up. There'll be a little resistance because of the thermal paste at the bottom there. Remember to replace the thermal paste when you're reassembling. I see a lot of people forgetting to do that. And just keep your heat shield in a safe place because it is delicate. Alright, we're almost there guys. Now it's time to disconnect the battery. This one lifts up, not out, so just use your pry tool and just give it a wiggle and it should just pop up like that. There you go. Nice and easy. Now what we're going to do is remove the tamper sticker from the SD card accessory board. Now you just have that one screw behind the tamper sticker. You've already removed all the other screws for this board, so it is all good. Now, important to note that the connection is beneath the board, so you need to pry it up. So just be careful there, and when you're putting it back, just make sure it's realigned before you screw it down. So you can see the push connection there. You'll know if it's not working if you stick an SD card in and it's not reading. So just be gentle with that one, guys. Time to disconnect the display. So what you need to do is just grab some tweezers or your pry tool and just get underneath that. It's just the display cable to little ribbon cable, so just give it a little wiggle and it should pop out and we're good to go. Time to remove the screen, guys. Now you're going to have to heat it up. I'm using a heat gun here, but you can also use like one of those heat packs. Just don't do what I do right here. Look, I've put the heat gun on for too long and I've damaged the screen. So if you want to keep it as a backup screen, be extremely careful with your heat, because don't do what I... Ooh, look at this, what a goose. Alright, now give it a few minutes to cool and then get your suction cup. You want to put this on the opposite side, so the side where your SD card is, because that's where the ribbon cable is. Now grab your guitar pick pry tool and lift it up just enough to get it in, and now you can cut through all that warm glue. Slicing through this hot glue is giving me that John Hamm meme vibes at the moment. Ooh, do, 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 do. Once you get through it, you're going to want to lift up from the suction cup, because that's the side that has the ribbon cable, and your screen should just lift off. Now, just be careful, guys, because it will be warm and your switch around the edges might be a little bit hot too, so just careful of your fingers. Oh, there's the screen, guys. Look at that burn. In the words of Harvey Keitel, don't be a fool. Now I'm just going to tidy up the excess glue with my utility knife. This is an optional step, you don't have to do this, but this is the end result, so it's worth doing. If you're not confident using a knife, why don't you just use your pry tool and you can just scrape all that excess off. It'll help the new glue set in much better if you remove it. Okay, and this is what the new screen looks like. I have been fortunate enough to actually purchase what looks like to be the exact part for the screen, and it was relatively cheap too. I got it off Alibaba, I believe. I will share a link in the description below so you can get your hands on it too. Alright guys, now it's time to connect your new screen. So just feed the ribbon cable through the small gap. It's pretty big, you won't have any issues there. And then you just have to stick it down. So just make sure you align it. As I said before, I got the screen with the adhesive tape already attached. If you don't, you might have to get some adhesive tape. So just keep that in mind. But getting one with the adhesive tape already set up there for you makes it a lot easier. So you just stick it down, give it a few minutes to bond, and then you're good to go. Alright guys, time to reassemble. Now we just have to reconnect the screen's ribbon cable, so you can use your tweezers. I ended up just using my fingers to lock that in. That is all good to go, so fantastic. Now we just have to reconnect the battery. This bit's a little bit fiddly, but you can get it pretty quickly. Just use your fingers. Now what we want to do is get all that old thermal paste off and reapply a good amount of new thermal paste. Be generous. I go with a pretty big dab, and then just for good measure, a little one. So align the heat shield back up with the screws. Take your time, push down that thermal paste. There you go, make sure it's nice and set in there. Now I'm just going to reconnect the antennas. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to put the center screw in, just so I'm not knocking about the heat plate and all that stuff, and I've got some wiggle room with it. Now you can probably do it a little bit better and attach the antennas first, but I like to reroute them with the shield in place so I can see what I'm doing and make sure it's all aligned. So attach your antennas now, and that should be the last big step. I've started off with the little one here just because it's a little bit more finicky to reroute. Then what you want to do is you just want to route that cable back just the way it was. Here goes the main antenna. Put its two screws in and then reroute the cable. We're almost there, guys, so just get this down right, get the cable in its little holding spot, and stick down all that tape. Now to reconnect these, align them very carefully and wait for the snap. Now all that's left is to screw down the heat shield, replace the side screws in the Joy-Con wells, 1 and 2. Almost there, guys. Now just replace all the back plate screws, the one on the back, the 2 at the bottom, and the 1 at the top. And look at that, guys, we are done. Awesome. Time for the moment of truth, guys. I'm just giving my daughter the thumbs up because she's waiting for her switch to come back to her. So here we go. Switch is on, display is working, and it looks pretty good from here. Put our Joy-Cons back in and let's test some games. One more screen peel so we can get a good look at those OLED inky blacks on our brand spanking new screen. Very happy with the results here. Everything looks fantastic. And don't forget the SD card. Alright guys, here's some crash. I'm really happy with the way this turned out. The screen is awesome and the repair was fairly straightforward. I got to get this back to my kids. So anyway, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I had a good time making it. I hope you had a good time watching it, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. See you next time.